Hello, ladies and gentlemen, work experience folks. We're going to get started with the introduction to personal finance, part one. So, to me, this is like the best thing we do all year because it can have an amazing, huge impact on your future. So, I really hope you guys are paying attention and I hope you enjoy it and are into it. But what I want you guys to do is get out your notes at the top, put intro to personal finance, put your name, and then answer these questions the best that you can. So you don't have to write down the question, just write down the answer to that question. Um, skip that. Okay, so here is the good thing about personal finance. All right, so there's two guys. There's Ben and Arthur, and they were friends. They grew up together. They had took a class like work experience, and they were told about personal finance and investing. So they both knew they needed to start thinking about their future and investing. So at age 19, Ben started to invest. So every year he put in $2,000, and he did this every year for 8 years. And he picked good investment funds, either in the stock market or in the stock market in mutual funds. And he got good ones. They averaged 12% interest rate, so that's pretty important. So 12% is kind of where everybody should be targeting. Then at age 26, Ben stopped putting money into his best investments. We don't know why, but he just did. So for 8 years, he was very consistent, $2,000 every year. Okay. So if you add all that up, he invested $6,000 into the stock market. Now his buddy Arthur, just basically at the time Ben stopped, that's when Arthur started. So now Arthur didn't start until age 27. Okay, so just like Ben, he put in $2,000 into his investment funds every year until he turned 65. And in the same way, he found good mutual funds. He got 12% interest rate. But the difference is, so Ben invested for 8 years and then stopped. Arthur got a later start, but invested for 31 more years than Ben did. So Arthur invested a total of 78,000 over the 39 years. So Ben started earlier, invested 16,000. Arthur started later, but put a ton more in, 78,000 over 39 years. All right. So when Ben and Arthur turned 65, they got together and they compared their investment accounts. All right. So he answered this question. So who do you think had more? Ben, with his total of $16,000 invested over 8 years. He started early, but he wasn't consistent after that. Or Arthur, who started a little bit later, but who was consistent over a longer period of time. So who do you think was better off? Write that down before we look at the numbers. Okay. So it kind of seems like Arthur would win, right? He put in way more, but the reality is Ben would win. Okay, so Ben came out ahead. And by the way, this is not like anything weird. This is just math. You can look at it. Ben came out ahead, $700,000 ahead. So starting early is the key to investing, or at least it's the key to making it easier, I guess. He put in less money, but he started 8 years earlier. So the idea is that's compound interest working for you, or working for Ben in this case. So he turned $16,000 into 2.3 million. So because Ben invested earlier, the compound interest was working longer. So let's jump back over here. So okay, so here's a question. So what did Albert Einstein say was the most powerful force in the universe? And he was joking a little bit, but he said it was compound interest. And the reason he said that is because compound interest can have effects like we just looked at, turning $16,000 into $2.3 million. All right, so here, if you look at the little spreadsheet here that shows Ben and Arthur, so it kind of shows how he invested, and quit, and then he didn't, and then started. But at any rate, if you look at the end, where's the end? I don't know what I'm showing here. I wonder if there's something that's not showing. Hold on. Oh yeah, so that's 2.2 million, and the other guy had 1.3 million. So they both did really well, but the one guy did better because he started earlier. And the reason is, so the key of compound interest is, so if you look, he put in 2,000, right, and then he got interest. So now he has 2,240. Well, the next year he gets interest on the 2,000, but he also gets interest on the 240. And so every year he's getting interest on his interest on an interest. So as time goes by, it just spikes. It goes crazy. Okay. So describe compound interest in your own words. You might want to look up a definition on the internet and then try to put it in your own words. But it's a good thing if you can understand compound interest. So look it up and try to figure it out. But it's kind of what I just showed you is where you're getting interest. You get 240 interest, and then the next year you get interest on that interest, and the next year you get interest on that interest on that interest, sort of thing. All right. So according to this scenario, what are the 4 keys to becoming a millionaire? Okay, so look at that thing and figure out what did Ben do that helped him become a millionaire? And then what powerful thing is at work in that scenario with Ben and Arthur? And finally, is it hard to become a millionaire according to this chart? So answer those questions. No, here's the answer, by the way. What are the 4 keys? Invest early, invest regularly, invest in something that makes good interest. And by the way, so if Ben had continued to invest, he would have had what 2.23. He would have had 4 million if he had continued to invest 2,000 years. So, okay, so invest early, invest regularly, invest in something that makes good interest. 10% is a good starting point. You want to try to get at least 12 if you can, and then let compound interest work for you. Okay, so here's the definition of compound interest: is when you keep money invested long enough to make interest off of your interest. So, okay, so now, actually, so that's the end of part 1. So I'm gonna be done with this video. If I can find my off button here, and then we'll continue on with this on the next one.